Hi guys. Um First of all, first things first, comment of the week goes to Purple Rhymes with Orange. Congratulations. It is under the Bible and dinosaurs, no music. I expect if there were animals larger than houses walking about, they would have gotten more than 2 mentions. Yeah, I definitely agree. I definitely agree there, Purple. Um, which just goes to show you how much cognitive dissonance people can have. So, congratulations. And then we will go to Today in History. Today is November 28th. It's actually my dad's birthday. Ferdinand Magellan reaches the Pacific. After sailing through the dangerous straits below South America that now bear his name, Portuguese navigator Ferdinand Magellan enters the Pacific Ocean with 3 ships, becoming the first European explorer to reach the Pacific from the Atlantic. On September 20th, 1519, Magellan set sail from Spain in an effort to find a western sea route to the rich spice islands of Indonesia. In command of 5 ships and 270 men, Magellan sailed to West Africa, then to Brazil, where he searched the South American coast for a strait that would take him to the Pacific. He searched the Rio de la Plata, a large estuary south of Brazil, for a way through. Failing, he continued south along the coast of Patagonia. At the end of March 1520, the expedition set up winter quarters at Port St. Julian. On Easter Day, at midnight, the Spanish captains mutinied against their Portuguese captain, but Magellan crushed the revolt, executing one of the captains and leaving another ashore when his ship left St. Julian in August. On October 21st, he finally discovered the strait he had been seeking. The Strait of Magellan, as it became known, is located near the tip of South America, separating Tierra del Fuego and the continental mainland. Only 3 ships entered the passage. One had been wrecked and another deserted. It took 38 days to navigate the treacherous strait, and when ocean was sighted at the other end, Magellan wept with joy. His fleet accomplished the westward crossing of the ocean in 99 days, crossing waters so strangely calm that the ocean was named Pacific, from the Latin word pacificus, meaning tranquil. By the end, the men were out of food and chewed the leather parts of their gear to keep themselves alive. On March 6th, of Cebu, they were only about 400 miles from the Spice Islands. Magellan met with the chief of Cebu, who, after converting to Christianity, persuaded the Europeans to assist him in conquering a rival tribe on the neighboring island of Mactan. In fighting on April 27th, Magellan was hit by a poisoned arrow and left to die by his retreating comrades. So that's interesting. I actually enjoy doing the Today in Histories. Um, they're informative and, you know, I learn a lot from them. But it's time to go to the Bible, your favorite segment, making fun of the Bible. And today we're talking about Lot, Abram's nephew, and then Sodom and Gomorrah. Um, so, Genesis 18 to 19. Let's get started. Near the great trees of Mamre, while he was sitting at the entrance to his tent in the heat of the day, Abraham looked up and saw 3 men standing nearby. When he saw them, he hurried from the entrance of his tent to meet them and bowed low to the ground. He said, "If I have found favor in your eyes, my lord, water be brought, and then you may all wash your feet and rest under this tree. Let me get you something to eat, so you can be refreshed, and then go on your way. Now that you have come to your servant." "Very well," they answered. "Do as you say." So Abraham hurried into the tent to Sarah. "Quick," he said, "get 3 seahs of the finest flour and knead it and bake some bread." Then he ran to the herd and selected a choice, tender calf and gave it to a servant who hurried to prepare it. He then brought some curds and milk and the calf. Curds and milk, by the way, is just another way of saying cottage cheese. And the calf that had been prepared, and set these before them. While they ate, he stood near them under a tree. "Where is your wife Sarah?" they asked him. "There, in the tent," he said. Then one of them said, "I will surely return to you about this time next year, and Sarah, your wife, will have a son." Now Sarah was listening at the entrance to the tent, which was behind him. Abraham and Sarah were already very old, and Sarah was past the age of childbearing. So Sarah laughed to herself, as she thought, "After I am worn out and my Lord is old, will I now have this pleasure?" Then the Lord said to Abraham, "Why did Sarah laugh and say, 'Will I finally have a child now that I am old?' Is anything too hard for the Lord? I will return to you at the appointed time next year, and Sarah will have a son." Sarah was afraid, so she lied and said, "I did not laugh." But he said, "Yes, you did laugh." Let's stop there for a minute. I don't believe the Bible. I don't believe most of it. Some of it's true. Most of it's just nonsense. It's wrong. It doesn't make any sense to me. You, a 90-year-old woman should laugh. If I'm 90 years old and somebody comes up to me and says, "You're going to have a baby," of course I'm going to laugh. When the men got up to leave, they looked down toward Sodom, and Abraham walked along with them to see them on their way. Then the Lord said, "Shall I hide from Abraham what I am about to do?" Powerful nation, and all nations on the earth will be blessed through him. For I have chosen him, so that he will direct his children and his household after him to keep the way of the Lord by doing what is right and just, so that the Lord will bring about for Abraham what he has promised him. Israelites didn't do such a good job there, did they? And again, this is all in jest, because I don't believe this ever happened. Verse 20. Then the Lord said, "And Gomorrah is so great, and their sin is so grievous, that I will go down and see if what they have done is as had as the outcry that has reached me. If not, I will know." Okay, let's stop there. Dr. Josh of Digital Hammurabi, and if you are not subscribed to Digital Hammurabi and you're like me and you love archaeology, you need to be subscribed to Digital Hammurabi. Dr. Josh is not only a Assyriologist, but he is also a theologian. He did graduate from, I don't know what seminary it was, but he did graduate from seminary. So he is a theologian as well as an Assyriologist. And so he knows his stuff. Now, what Dr. Josh says is that the sin that Sodom and Gomorrah did was not homosexuality. Because if you read the Bible carefully, it doesn't speak out against homosexuality in general. It speaks out against certain homosexuality, such as you can't have this particular man. And interestingly, it does not say anything about lesbians. So, the sin of Sodom and Gomorrah didn't have anything to do with homosexuality. But it did have to do with hospitality. Because at this time, hospitality was like the be-all, end-all. I mean, if you were not hospitable to your guests, you were just like trash. And that was the great sin of Sodom and Gomorrah, not homosexuality. And I'll get to that a little bit later. Verse 22. The men turned away and went toward Sodom, but Abraham remained standing before the Lord. Then Abraham approached him and said, "Will you sweep away the righteous with the wicked? What if there are 50 righteous people in the city? Will you really sweep it away and not spare the place for the sake of the 50 righteous people in it? Far be it from you to do such a thing, to kill the righteous with the wicked, treating the righteous and the wicked alike. Far be it from you. Will not the judge of all the earth do right? Okay, I'm going to stop right there too. Obviously God forgot all about this pleading from Abraham when he decided the Amalekites needed to be destroyed in 1 Samuel, I think it was, when Samuel told Saul to go kill all the Amalekites. Evidently, God wasn't thinking about the righteous then. And yeah, I will get to that story. Verse 26. The Lord said, if I find 50 righteous people in the city of Sodom, I will spare the whole place for their sake. Then Abraham spoke up again. Now that I have been so bold as to speak to the Lord, though I am nothing but dust and ashes, what if the number of the righteous is 5 less than 50? Will you destroy the whole city for lack of 5 people? If I find 45 there, I will not destroy it. Once again he spoke to him. What if only 40 are found there? He said, for the sake of 40, I will not do it. Then he said, may the Lord not be angry, but let me speak. What if only 30 can be found there? He answered, I will not do it if I find 30 there. He answered, Abraham said, now that I have been so bold as to speak to the Lord, what if only 20 can be found there? He said, for the sake of 20, I will not destroy it. Then he said, may the Lord not be angry, but let me speak just once more. What if only 10 can be found there? He answered, for the sake of 10, I will not destroy it. When the Lord had finished speaking with Abraham, he left, and Abraham returned home. All right, I want to point something out. One of the 3 visitors to Abraham was God. Read it for yourself. Okay? So, at this point, God had a body, just like a man. Okay? Read it for yourself. I'm not making this up. He was walking around just like he was walking around in the Garden of Eden. He was walking around on the earth. Okay, chapter 19. The 2 angels arrived at Sodom. Now, 2 angels. What happened to the 3rd one? Well, I guess God decided to go back to heaven. I don't know, but there are 3 visitors to Abraham, but only 2 went to Sodom and Gomorrah. Just something for you to think about. The 2 angels arrived at Sodom in the evening, and Lot was sitting in the gateway of the city. When he saw them, he got up to meet them and bowed down with his face to the ground. My lords, he said, please turn aside to your servant's house. You can wash your feet and spend the night, and then go on your way early in the morning. No, they answered, we will spend the night in the square. But he insisted so strongly that they did go with him and entered his house. He prepared a meal for them, baking bread without yeast, and they ate. Okay, so again, gonna stop. Where did Lot get this baking of bread without yeast? That commandment didn't come until Exodus and the Passover. You see how this doesn't make any sense? If you really read it, you will see these things. It doesn't make any sense. But yet Lot baked bread without yeast. Before they had gone to bed, all the men from every part of the city of Sodom, both young and old, surrounded the house. And this is where a lot of Christians get the homosexuality from. But that's, like I said, it had nothing to do with homosexuality. It had everything to do with hospitality. And I will prove it in a moment. They called to Lot, "Where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us so that we can have sex with them." Lot went outside to meet them and shut the door behind him and said, "No, my friends, don't do this wicked thing." Now you may say, it said wicked. So it was homosexuality. No. Hospitality was the name of the game back then. I'm sorry. You want to make this out to be something it's not. Look, I have 2 daughters who have never slept with a man. Let me bring them out to you, and you can do what you like with them. But don't do anything to these men, for this is important. This is the important part. For they have come under the protection of my roof. Why would Lot say that if the sin was homosexuality and not lack of hospitality? Why would he say that? If you're reading it the other way around, if you're reading it from the homosexual position, that makes no sense whatsoever. Think about it. Verse 9. "Get out of our way," they replied. "This fellow came here as a foreigner, and now he wants to play the judge. We'll treat you worse than them." They kept bringing pressure on Lot and moved forward to break down the door. But the men inside reached out and pulled Lot back into the house and shut the door. Then they struck the men who were at the door of the house, young and old, with blindness, so they could not find the door. The 2 men said to Lot, notice, in verse 1, they were 2 angels. Now, in verse 12, they're 2 men. Why can't the Bible make up its mind? They're either angels or they're men. Verse 12. The 2 men said to Lot, Do you have anyone else here, sons-in-law, sons or daughters, or anyone else in the city who belongs to you? Get them out of here, because we are going to destroy this place. The outcry to the Lord against his people is so great that he has sent us to destroy it. So Lot went out and spoke to his sons-in-law, who were pledged to marry his daughters. He said, "Hurry and get out of this place, because the Lord is about to destroy the city." But his sons-in-law thought he was joking. With the coming of dawn, the angels urged Lot, saying, "Hurry, take your wife and your 2 daughters who are here, or you will be swept away when the city is punished." I'll be right back. Sorry about that. My throat was getting dry. So I think I've already read 15, but let's go back to it. With the coming of dawn, the angels urged Lot, saying, "Hurry, take your wife and your 2 daughters who are here, or you will be swept away when the city is punished." When he hesitated, the men grasped his hand and the hands of his wife and of his 2 daughters and led them safely out of the city, for the Lord was merciful to them. As soon as they had brought them out, one of them said, "Flee for your lives. Don't look back, and don't stop anywhere in the plain. Flee to the mountains, or you will be swept away." But Lot said to them, "No, my lords, please. Your servant has found favor in your eyes, and you have shown great kindness to me in sparing my life. But I can't flee to the mountains. This disaster will overtake me, and I'll die. Look, here is a town near enough to run to, and it is small. Let me flee to it. It is very small, isn't it? Then my life will be spared." He said to him, "Very well, I will grant this request too. I will not overthrow the town you speak of, but flee there quickly, because I cannot do anything until you reach it." That is why the town was called Zoar. By the time Lot reached Zoar, the sun had risen over the land. Then the Lord rained down burning sulfur on Sodom and Gomorrah from the Lord out of heavens. Thus he overthrew those cities and the entire plain, destroying all those living in those cities, and also the vegetation in the land. But Lot's wife... I'm going to stop there. That was verse 26. And I'll pick back up. Because I want to address Lot's wife separately. Okay. Archaeologists think they have found Sodom and Gomorrah. The destruction level at Sodom and Gomorrah is not from this time period. You gotta wonder. Put on your thinking cap. You have a brain for a reason. Why isn't there a destruction level at Sodom and Gomorrah from this time period? More than likely, it's because it wasn't destroyed at this time. It may have been destroyed later. It may have been destroyed earlier. I can't really remember right now. I don't have these minute facts in my mind that I can just bring up whenever I want to. The point is, Genesis was written well after Christians think it was written. And what probably happened, somebody saw these cities and they were ruined, and like, hey, we're gonna tell the story because this is what we do. We tell stories. Verse 26, but Lot's wife looked back, and she became a pillar of salt. I don't know about you, but that's a pretty harsh punishment for just looking the wrong way. I mean, this is the God you serve, Christians. Is this a God who deserves your worship? Think about it. Early the next morning, Abraham got up and returned to the place where he had stood before the Lord. He looked down toward Sodom and Gomorrah, toward all the land of the plain, and he saw dense smoke arising from the land like smoke from a furnace. So when God destroyed the cities of the plain, he remembered Abraham, and he brought Lot out of the catastrophe that overthrew the cities where Lot had lived. There's only a little more to go. Lot and his 2 daughters, this is verse 30 by the way. Lot and his 2 daughters left Zoar and settled in the mountains, for he was afraid to stay in Zoar. He and his 2 daughters lived in a cave. One day the older daughter said to the younger, "Our father is old, and there is no man around here to give us children, as is the custom all over the earth. Let's get our father to drink wine and then sleep with him and preserve our family line through our father." Is this supposed to be like Old Testament porn or something? That's just my question. Verse 33. That night they got their father to drink wine, and the older daughter went in and slept with him. He was not aware of it when she lay down or when she got up. The next day, the older daughter said to the younger, "Last night I slept with my father. Let's get him to drink wine again tonight, and you go in and sleep with him, so we can preserve our family line through our father." So they got their father to drink wine that night also, and the younger daughter went in and slept with him. Again, he was not aware of it when she lay down or when she got up. So both of Lot's daughters became pregnant by their father. The older daughter had a son, and she named him Moab. He is the father of the Moabites of today. The younger daughter also had a son, and she named him Ben-Ami. He is the father of the Ammonites today. This is supposed to be child friendly? Seriously? This is supposed to be child friendly? I don't think so. Reason than because you look the wrong way. And then you've got an X-rated scene. You gotta wonder. And I, for one, am glad I no longer have to respect a god, a monster who would do something like that. Okay, channel announcement. I don't think he'll mind me saying this because he has agreed to come on. There's a guy by the name of Otangelo. You may or may not know him from the Rages live streams. He has agreed to come on. I'll warn you, he is a Christian. But he's a nice one. He is a nice one. He's been lied to. And he can't accept that. But, maybe one of these days he'll get to the point where he can accept the fact that he's been lied to. But I hope to have him on this afternoon. So, look out for another live stream this afternoon. Maybe. If he can make. I'm not going to be doing another live stream today. But, I think he said he used to be a Catholic, but now he's an evangelical, which probably means that he's also a young earth creationist. So if you can't stomach that kind of nonsense, heads up, if you can't stomach it, you may not want to be in here for that. Now, we're just going to have a friendly conversation. I'm not going to interrogate him, I'm not going to, if you've seen me on the Rages channel, I can get pretty streams. But I don't want my channel to be like that. So I usually, Nakasuchi doesn't mind it at all. And that's basically what his channel is. So he doesn't mind it at all. But I want my channel to be more of a respectful, hey, let's have a conversation. And not, I'm going to pick on you for your beliefs, even though I think they're dumb. Just a heads up, and like I said, I don't know if he'll be able to come or not, but just be on the lookout. It will be sometime after 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time if I am on. So just, be on the lookout. And if I'm not on, then Otangelo couldn't make it. Alright, so thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys later.